The Puget Sound stickleback. Body only in part plated, pentacle of tail not keeled, the three dorsal spines without serrations, the anterior one inserted immediately behind the base of the pectorals. Ventral inserted anterior to the second dorsal spine. The color is very much like that of G. serratus, but more decidedly purplish on the sides. The eyes bright red in both species when fresh from the water. The tiny stickleback. Head 1/4 of the total length, mouth small and teeth but feebly protected. Dorsal spines 9, 7th, and 8th smaller than the preceding ones. The 9th longer than any of the others. The abdomen is protected by a bony cuirass, and the ventrals represented by 2 spines. All the spines are movable and destitute of serrations. Color of the back a bright sea green, sides purplish pink, shading way to silvery white on the belly. The entire body speckled with minute black spots. This handsome little stickleback, though smaller in size than his brethren, is vastly more abundant. Sir J. Richardson speaks of it as being common in the Saskatchewan, ranging as far north as the 65th parallel. So abundant are they in lakes and pools about Cumberland House, east of the Rocky Mountains, that sledge loads are dipped out with wooden bowls and used for feeding the dogs. I have seen the cartloads of these tiny fish in a single pool, left by the receding waters after the summer floods in the Surmass Prairie and banks of the Chilliwack River. As the water rapidly evaporated, the miserable captives huddled closer and closer together, and starving with hunger and panting for air, but without the remotest chance of escape. The sticklebacks die and decompose, or yield banquets to the bears, weasels, birds, and beetles. The pool dries, and in a few weeks not a trace of record or remains of the dead host of fishes. In the smaller streams, a bowl dipped into the water where sticklebacks were thickest could be readily filled with fish. Sticklebacks are the most voracious little gourmands imaginable, devourers of everything and cannibals into the bargain. Tearing their wounded comrades into fragments, they greedily swallow them. I have often taken this species in Esquimalt Harbor, where they are very plentiful during the winter months. The natives of Kamtchatka make use of a stickleback, which they obtain in great quantities, not only as food for the sledge dogs, but for themselves also, by making them into a kind of soup. West of the Rocky Mountains, I have seen the Indians use them as an article of diet, not from any dislike to the fish, but simply because they are larger and better fishes, quite as abundant, and it is easily procurable. Whether there are any species in the Northwest strictly marine, building their nests in the sea, have never entering fresh water, I am unable to say. The 15-spined stickleback is along in our own coasts, and makes a nest so seaweeds glued together with an adhesive mucus in this same way as the nests of our little friends are cemented. They seek as their nursery the clear cold streams of British Columbia, Oregon, and Vancouver Island. The bullhead, the stickleback, has a near relative with a name nearly as ugly as the owner. Bullhead being certainly not suggestive of beauty, with such a name we are less disappointed to find the entire family of our friends ill-favored, prickly, hard-skinned, and uncomfortable to handle and to look at. Plates of scaly armor cover the head, from which stout, sharp spines like a crop of horns. Between these are tubercles that have the appearance of being rivets. The body looks like an appendage tapering away to a mere nothing at the tail. There, as many species, frequently the lakes and rivers of British Columbia during the summer months for the purpose of spawning. On their return to the sea, swarms of young bullheads of various species regularly follow the ebb and flow of the tide, and in rough weather every breaker as it rushes up the shelving shingle carries a freight of tiny fish that are left struggling amid the pebbles in thousands, and to be dragged back and floated out again by the succeeding wave, or to find a last home in the stomachs of the seabirds. The bullhead does not actually build a nest like the stickleback, but makes an egg house. On the bottom of some slowly running stream, the male usually selects a hollow under a boulder or a space betwixt two stones and shoves out the lesser pebbles and gravel to form a pit. This accomplished, several females are in turn induced to deposit their roe, having done which they are driven off by the male, who supplies the milt. Then shovels the sand and pebbles with his huge horny head over the treasure, until it is completely covered. More females, more eggs and milt, more shoveling until the affair is completed to the bullhead papa's satisfaction. Now stand clear, all thievish prowlers. Let anything of reasonable size venture near, then head down. Applying all his propellers to their utmost power, he charges at them, driving his horns into the very hilt, free again, seizes hold with his mouth, thus biting and stabbing, until he kills or routs his foe. I am not able to say exactly how long the eggs are incubating, but as nearly as I could observe them in the Sumas and Chilliwack streams, in about 8 weeks the young escape from their egg house. The females were invariably driven away into with the same ferocity as the other unwelcome guests. From the depositing the spawn to the exit of the infant fish, then old and young disappear into deeper water and are seldom seen again. During the winter, I constantly obtain the bullheads from out the sign nest used in Esquimalt Harbor to procure fish for the supply of Victoria Market. Rejected by the fishermen, the Indians greedily gathered them up, the despised fishes, broiled them over the lodge fire, impaled on a slender twig, then feasted right royally on the grilled remains of the spidey martyrs. The genus Stentura myrcthis is characterized as follows: head more or less depressed, rounded anteriorly, head and bones covered with soft, scaleless skin, more or less studded with prickles or granulations, teeth in the jaws, on the vomer and palatine bones. The prickly skinned bullhead, gill openings separated beneath by an isthmus, 3 opercular spines crowned with very small warts, back of the body with very minute spines, color white yellowish brown, thickly dotted with spots nearly black. The length of the adult fish is seldom over 3.5 inches. These tiny bullheads are common in all the streams east and west of the Cascades. They are not fond of growing very far from the sea, but leave the larger rivers soon after entering them, seeking the clear rivulets and shallow lakes. In the streams following through the Sumas and Chilliwack prairies, in those following into the Puget Sound, and north of it on the mainland to Fort Simpson, and in all 3 streams draining Vancouver Island. The prickly-skinned bullhead can be easily found in July and August, similar in habits and frequenting the localities as the preceding are several species described in the appendix. The rock cod, belonging to the same family as the rock cod, as it is usually styled by fishermen who provide the Victoria and San Francisco markets, one of the best and daintiest tablefish caught in the seas round Vancouver Island. It is often attains a considerable size, and being in tolerable abundance constitutes an article of some commercial value. As numbers are taken all through the year, and as I never saw them in fresh water, it is fair to assume they are strictly marine. Their appearance is not prepossessing, giving one of the idea of being all head, fins, and bones, as they lie gasping on the shingle, an error of the eye only, as you discover when testing the substance and quality of a large fish, smoking hot from the fish kettle. 3 species are commonly offered for sale in the market. one of which is also taken in Japanese seas. They vary in size. I have only seen a rock cod 30 inches in length. Biting greedily at any bait, they are constantly caught by the Indians when trolling for salmon.